Hi, I'm Lori with Trade, and we have Niall with me. Hi, Niall.
Hi.
And we have a really special guest for you today, Peg Fitzpatrick. She and I have known each other for a long time, back in our Google Plus days, and it's a great day for us to have you, Peg, because today is 12 years that interior design community existed, and it started
Mm,
on communities on Google Plus years and years
amazing.
ago. So it started the day community started on Google Plus.
That's awesome.
Now it's 12 years ago
Congratulations.
today.
It's a party.
Yay. So you will
You have to buy a lotto ticket or something because today is 12/6. I feel like numerically it could all be really good.
it could be. It could be. Well, you are pretty famous in some worlds. I've known you for a long time. Social media strategist, author. You worked with Guy Kawasaki for years. You've worked on some major campaigns with Pinterest, Canva. I mean, Canva, you've been, you know, integrated into their business model from pretty much the inception. So, and you recently wrote a book, The Art of Small Business Social Media: The Blueprint for Marketing Success. And a lot of our designers are small business owners. We have 107,000 designers on our Instagram, but we have a large community of designers, and they struggle with social media because it's just like another job on top of their job. I mean, they're really out there trying to create and make great design, but navigating social media has always been a huge struggle for them. You know, what made you pursue this career path? I mean, social media was new. 15 years ago, people were just starting to really get into it and use it for business, at least.
Yeah.
What attracted you to it? What made you wanna go into this knowing all the, now that you know all that you know, did you regret it? Anything like that?
No, I don't regret it. So I started out, actually, I worked in social media every single day that I've been at social media. So I've been working for the same company for 14 and a half years doing their social media. And so everything that I did on my social media accounts was like testing all the stuff because you never want to do all the stuff on your own account, right? So I would test all the things on my account. So I say I like accidentally, built my own personal brand because I was posting and learning how to do things. And then as that like kind of went on, I at the beginning I only worked part-time for that company. So then I did other things like work with Guy, and that started out with a book club on Twitter before Google Plus was around. I was reading books and I decided to do a book club on Twitter before Oprah did. Oprah, come on.
Still your idea.
I think she should have made more money from it than I did because I made like zero from it. But it was great because I got to meet a ton of really awesome authors. And Guy was the first book, his book Enchantment was the first book that I chose. So I tweeted about it and he answered me. And then I was like, you can talk to authors on social media. I am an obsessive reader. I have books. Well, you could probably see, some I have behind me. It's a little bit not all bookish, but I have books everywhere, like books like everywhere in my house. My husband's like, stop buying books. I'm like, I can't. 'Cause I love them. And even after I read them, it's like so hard for me to give books up.
I love
Um,
books too. I get it. I'm a book club girl, so
yeah.
there's a
So I just kind of dove in, and then I had to figure everything out because of course at that point there's not a lot of like books on how to do all the social media things that everybody wanted to learn. So I started writing on my blog and learning how to do things, and then I would, write an article about how to do whatever it was that I learned. So that was really how I got started with those things. And then I've just been so lucky to be, I don't know, in the right place at the right time or something, but to work with Pinterest on campaigns, to work like as a Pinterest ambassador. And I've been to the headquarters of like all the big social channels that existed before. That doesn't include the new things that have popped up, but I went to Pinterest and to Facebook when it was Facebook. So Instagram at that point was like a little back office. They were like they were like a little step kid. They had this little like back office that wasn't all fancy yet the first time I went there. And then the next time they had a whole big thing. But so yeah, I've just been around in social media for a long time. And the latest book that I wrote is because like you're talking about for small businesses, it hasn't gotten easier, unfortunately. Your audience is all interior designers. Your job is not social media. Your job is interior design, which is a lot of things to know. You have a million things that you need to know in there. And social media is just another thing on top of that that's totally different. And most people don't feel comfortable marketing themselves or what they've done, like how to present it, how to talk about it. I will say interior designers are very, very lucky that they create a lot of beautiful work, and there's a lot of, a lot of great ways that your creativity as a designer, like, marries really well with social media. Some industries are not as lucky. So in that way, you have competition because other people also do it, but yeah, the content that you can create can blow people's minds, especially in the holidays. I'm so obsessed with holiday decorations. I'm like watching, like, do you guys follow any accounts that show like New York City and they just show like
Oh,
decorations?
yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, seeing how people decorate that, like in London and New York City, that the doors, the stairways, it's good. I
Yeah,
like it.
it's very good. We have a designer that is, you know, well known in our community who really teaches a course on holiday decor and how
Mm,
that can actually generate like real, design projects after
yeah,
too. Alyssa Berry, she's like so fantastic, but she talks about how, once you take all those decorations away, people are like, well, I need something else. I need like
right.
as like a marketing tool for themselves to do the holiday decor stuff, which is great. And you are right. Like that is the struggle for these designers. They don't know where to focus the time. And
Right.
they do, even though they do have beautiful work, it takes a long time. Like it's not to do really renovation design. Sometimes that can take a year, sometimes 2 years before that product is done. So they might have, you know, 10 maybe current projects in their portfolio. It's not a lot, and then of those, they might have, like, 15 photographs, that are professionally done that they, like, feel proud enough to put on their website, and it's just difficult because it's, like, not enough a lot of design isn't the pretty picture at the end. A lot of it is,
Right.
chasing down the product and where is it and where is it when is it coming in and dealing with a vendor and dealing with things being broken and actual design and the process of selling and all of those other things that aren't the pretty picture at the end, and they don't know how to
Mhm.
translate that into what they do for the consumer to understand that enough because it's like, in that moment, they're talking to a client, they can't just whip out their phone and start recording their client and say, "Well, why did you ask me that question?" and get that as social media content. It's just it's very hard, and then they have to deal with a lot of those issues in the day to day, and it's just and I'm sure that's the same for every small business out there has their like a restaurant's not stopping to take the photographs of the food and make sure that the client, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's how do you run a business at the same time you're trying to create this content that shows what you do and shows the
absolutely.
process of what you do and
I think the
and
biggest thing is that small business owners need to learn how to like batch process things.
yes,
Like when you want to make cookies, you don't make one at a time
right.
because it would be way too time consuming. So if they can figure out a way to batch process ideas, even if it's just creating like little teeny short videos vertically that you can then like put together to make things later. So just figuring out like when you are somewhere that's cool, say you're sourcing antiques. This would be like my dream job. I'm going to Paris to go to the markets to source antiques, and I need vintage frames. And of course, when you have one specific thing in mind, that makes it 8 million times harder to find the actual thing you want. But, so you're there and then, you're looking at stuff. You might not show the actual things that you're going to buy, but you could do a lot of short videos of things. And then you could just share that out over a long period of time. I think one of the misconceptions is that people think what you're sharing today needs to be something that you're doing right now or that you're doing yesterday. Like it could be a project from 6 months ago and you don't even have to tell people that. Like it could be things that you could be sharing Christmas stuff that you actually shot last year. And I'm sure designers have to be so organized with because they have so many different pieces to the projects that they work on. So this could just be another thing where they have a folder to put video and photos of. So whenever you're out doing cool stuff, just take photos and when you see inspiration, I'm sure designers get inspiration from everywhere, like, from art books and going to the library. Like, there's a lot of different places to get inspiration for a project. Sometimes people might only have a vague idea of something, and then you gotta kind of figure things out, to make the style that they're looking for. Maybe you're actually creating a combination of 3 different styles, and so then you're doing things like doing research for that. That could be another piece that you could share, like, the creativity for it. And for your Pinterest, especially, you could have a bunch of different Pinterest boards as inspiration, which I'm sure everybody does,
Yes.
but you could have them specifically for this kind of your own kind of research too, look at what other designers are doing. You're not gonna copy anything that people are doing, but, get the inspiration, save it on your Pinterest boards. I have a secret Pinterest board where I put, like, photos that I wanna take, and I have a secret like, one of my Instagram saved folders is shots to take. When it's a shot that I see that's really great and I wanna take that photo, I save it and then I pull it up later to remember it, and then
Right.
because sometimes you even get, like, you're, like, brain dead, like, "I already took, like, 3 photos, what's next?" You know?
Well, I love that idea, and I just so you know, and I can translate that a little bit of that to you as the listener, those little clips can be clipped into different videos too, as Peg was saying too. So you could do like every year you might go to High Point or Maison Objet or something. You can do like a clip of walking into Maison and that sign that's out there or the High Point Market sign that's out there. That can be in front of all of your videos for the next 10 years. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't need to redo that video because you already redid that. You already did that one clip that could be the front clip of other things that you're doing down the road. And those clips can be used multiple ways. Like if you took clips at High Point Market of chairs, and then you took clips of sofas, and you took clips, you can organize those as a room. You could organize those as a bunch of chairs, like the chairs that I found that I liked the most, the lighting that I found that I liked the most, or a living room, or a kitchen vignette, or so you can organize. You're taking the same amount of content, but you're using it in different ways by using clips. And I love that idea. That's really
Yeah. I mean, and even if you just take the clip and you're like, 6 months later, it's not until 6 months, but everybody thinks about going to like Brimfield, like any of the big ones. You could just say like dreaming about my last trip when I went and, met up with whoever, because I'm sure people probably meet with designer friends and
sure.
shop while they're there. And, it's just something sometimes in the middle of a really slower period, like, we'll say January, and
Yes.
it's where we are in the Northeast, it's cold, it's dark, it's hard to get inspiration for stuff. Sometimes you might have a current thing that you could share, something that you did before, and just talk about it in a new way.
Right.
There's an influencer that I follow on TikTok, and she posts, I don't even know how many videos per day. She's a social media person, but she has started using all different kinds of clips because her hair is all different kinds of lengths all the time. And it's not that big. You'd think it would be more of a bigger deal, but she's got short hair and then she's got longer hair. So she's obviously got tons and tons of back content that she's using and just remixing. And nobody is in her comments saying, "Why is your hair long today? Why is your hair short yesterday?" Like, they're not asking those things because maybe they don't even see all those. They're just seeing that one. So
Right.
sometimes you think, I already talked about that, or people do not remember every single little video clip that you've shared. I think people get really stuck on like, I took this really great photo and I shared it already, so I can't use it again. But there's a million different ways to recrop and retalk about the same image. Like, you could use it in a bunch of different ways. You don't need all new photography and all new videos all the time, especially when you're on the same topic all the time, which is design. So I did a photo shoot. It's December now. I did a photo shoot in July for my book. And I've been using those photos since then. I had her do, like a bunch of different series of photos, which is something that designers could 100% do. Just do a photo shoot with a local person. They're not as expensive as they used to be. You get all the digital photos, so you can do a whole bunch of things with them. They could record you doing a bunch of different things, going to an antique shop, going to like an estate sale, like different things, or it could just be Mine was actually in a studio that had like a whole bunch of different things. Actually, it's over on your side of the state too. Social HQ. I don't know if you've ever heard of
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I went for photos. It was so great, and the photographer was amazing. So that's an idea too, like, if you're somebody who's not comfortable being in front of the camera all the time, you could hire someone to take photos of you that you could use literally throughout the whole year. Just bring you have different outfits, different looks. You could bring tons of different props and ideas, and from that, you could have, like, one whole year's worth of content, just, like, remixing it, which I think
Right.
people just don't realize they can do that.
Right, and the scheduling tools too. I mean, there's the
Yeah.
free ones that, like, obviously, like, Meta has their free it will schedule at least Facebook and Instagram, and you
Mhm.
could take, the image you're gonna be sharing today and schedule it every 4 months if you wanted to, or every 3 months if you wanted to, and no one's going to remember, and you could talk about different things in it. Like, you could talk
Mhm.
about if it's a picture of a kitchen, you could talk about why you chose the refrigeration unit. You could talk about why you chose the wine chiller. You could talk about the range. You could talk about the countertops. You could talk about 10 different things in that same photo,
Mm.
tagging different vendors, tagging different and talking about the experience of that. There's probably a memory that you have from, the installation of the countertops that's totally different than the memory that you have from the range
Right.
and why they chose that range and it's from France and whatever. That kind of
Yeah, and, like, this is what the client chose. Our 3 options were X, X, and X. The
Right.
reason that they chose this one is because they wanted a custom color. They wanted this color because it was reminded them of their honeymoon in Italy, whatever. Like, people have those, they have those stories, and it informs a lot of things. Sometimes people just have a picture from something and they're like, "This is what
Right.
I really love." So, yeah, I mean, you could talk about the different choices and why that one was the right one, and there are every single decision, we're not in the middle, we're, like, 1 month out from our kitchen remodel,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was, like, totally I was second guessing my hardware choice. It was, like, the last thing we chose was, like, the hardware choice, and I was like, "I don't know." I'm, like, not sure about it. So I did some research, looked up so I was, like, on House looking up, like, gray cabinets with we chose, polished nickel. Not we chose nickel, but not, like, the polished kind, just, like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this
Brushed?
point. Pardon me?
Fresh.
Not brushed,
Not
just the
brushed?
polished kind, so it's shiny, and then I was and then I, like, found a kitchen that was exactly like what we're doing, and I was like, "Okay, now I feel better, I've seen it together." I mean, I saw it in my little sample with the ones at my house, but it's just that kinda thing. It's like and every detail matters,
Yes, and only
it
only you have that you've been through it know what that story was. So,
Mhm.
you know, n that's the other part of it is that designers are often because it's so beautiful, they will have their work taken by other people who aggregate
Yeah.
are more aggregator accounts,
Mhm.
and they become, like, big because of all they're doing is social media, not design. They
Right.
will become big accounts, and that
All they're doing is stealing other people's intellectual property.
yes. And that doesn't really thrill the designer that, like, "Hey, I
No.
only have 2,500 followers," but this big account that all they're doing is sharing other people's work has
Mhm.
1,000,000 followers, and the brand wants to do a deal with them and not with me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the
Right.
that kitchen.
I think we're really at a place though where big numbers don't matter like I mean, everybody wants to have a lot of followers, but you don't have to have a million followers to work with a brand. And even if you had a million followers, the brand might not want to work with you anyway. Smaller influencers are getting a lot of deals now.
Yeah,
So you don't
micro
always
influencers
have
for sure. Yeah,
yeah, so it's getting better that way. It's still hard to work with brands, but it's possible. It's definitely
yeah.
there's a lot of especially if you're a designer and working
They
with all
buy a
different
lot
kinds of
from
brands.
brands, so the brands are sometimes will work with them and sometimes do wanna work with them, but it's, it's still at the end of the day, if you want a book deal, if you want a licensing deal, they do care about your numbers.
They do care about your numbers, they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have 2,500 followers, it would be hard to get a book deal, for
It
sure.
would. Yeah, yeah. What do you think the most common mistake that small businesses make with social media, and how can they avoid some of those
Mm.
mistakes?
I think one of the biggest things that happens is that they get too caught up in, like, the busyness of it, and they end up consuming a lot of content thinking that they're, like, working on social media, and maybe they're spending a ton of time on Instagram, but it's not really helping them. So, if you're putting a lot of time in, I'm not saying that it doesn't take time because it definitely does. But if you feel like you're putting in a ton of time into Instagram and you really can't tell, if your account is growing, your engagement isn't there, maybe you need to look at doing something that's going to get you more long-term goal growth, and that would be Pinterest. If you compare the difference between how much time Pinterest takes and how much time Instagram takes, it's crazy because Pinterest is almost no work. You create your graphics, you write a great title for it, you write a description for it, and every single thing you do links back to your website. Every single thing, every video, every so if you're creating reels and they're on Instagram, all it that doesn't click anywhere. The clickable links are really important. And just I think everybody we really pine for those glory days of Instagram where you got more engagement and you got more growth and all of those things. At my account, same. Like I don't get the same engagement. I don't have the same commenting. Like it just the algorithm is totally different now. They just don't show your stuff to people anymore. So Pinterest is a place where you can spend less time and get more from it. So I think one of the things is that maybe people do the same thing that they used to do, even though it's not working as well anymore, and they're just not sure what to do next. So I think for small business owners, time is a huge consideration. So always just looking at like where if you have a website, check your Google Analytics and see where are people finding you. Are they coming from your Instagram bio? Are they coming from Pinterest? Are they coming from Facebook? Like you have to really look and see where your the attention is coming from, and then you need to nurture those. And unfortunately, it's pretty much probably not Instagram. And that's just the reality of it. And I do the same thing all the time. I'm like, why do I spend so much time there? But Pinterest is so much better for us. So it's just looking at what's going to help you the most instead of what worked the best before. And then also, you don't have to follow every trend. Trends can be really hard. You see a lot of the same thing and you're like, maybe I should hop on that trend. Maybe you don't have to. I think the music trends are trends that certainly designers could use really successfully. Just, especially with the holiday stuff, just choosing the trending holiday music, which hint is from all Nancy Meyer's Christmas movies. And then creating content, that kind of fits with that. But that doesn't mean that you have to do other trends that don't fit what your brand is. I saw someone today in the social media space and they were doing one of the pointing videos, which I have not seen in so long, but no, it was an author. And she like had text up and she was like, point, point, point. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen that in
I
so
haven't seen those in a long time either.
I didn't miss them either, by the way, because everybody did them, even though they didn't really fit their brands. So don't feel like you have to hop onto every trend. But but if there's something that will work with your brand, like the holiday music that I mentioned, if you can work that in, the Christmas music is so like the instrumental stuff is so like magical and whimsical. Like it all has all these great properties and it does add a lot to your content. So trending sounds, I do try to use those. And I also kind of save those, when I see the ones that are you'll know a trending sound when you're scrolling through and you hear the same song
Yes.
multiple times. But you can also search for the trending music in your analytics. There's little if you scroll down to the bottom, it has like trending sounds. And then you can go there and find them. So I think that's part of it, and I think, like I said, that sometimes people end up consuming too much content, and then that gives you more atrophy about what to post yourself instead of really focusing because you are a business. If you are a business, the focus should be you and what your goals are. And your goals are to get clients to book after the client that you have now. You want to keep booking yourself constantly if you're spending too much time on your social media and it's not converting, you need to look at that and just figure out like How am I going to fix that? And part of that could be you're spending too much time just consuming other people's stuff and not focusing on, okay, I'm going to create a content calendar this month. It's December, December's done. January, what am I gonna post in January? What's my theme gonna be for the month? And then just map out what your month looks like and look at what you have already in your little content bucket stored away in your folders, and then create some media too. So just, think about creating media in small pieces and just saving it until you need it. Then one day when you have no ideas, you can just go back, you can find a short video, you can find some trending music, put them together and come up with a little idea. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be so hard. But I think that we've made it really complicated because it's harder. We're getting less engagement, so it feels stress. I feel like it feels stressful.
It does
Do
feel stressful. It really
Yeah.
does. And I think that designers are comparing themselves to
Mm,
social media guru type people who are doing really getting the real engagement, getting real numbers, and they're thinking like they're because they're consuming, they're trying in that consuming part of it to figure out how to get better. But then
right.
it gets so they're looking at it and they're like, these look so great. They're so, edited so well, they're produced, there's a dance, there's and then they're like, "I'm a designer. I don't wanna I can't do that. I don't know how to
No.
do that."
Right.
I'm just trying to do design, and so that becomes so overwhelming. I did see that, design Half-Life thing that comes out every year, and, it's surprising to me that it's still, like, 2 years for a blog, like, 6 months for Pinterest, and, like, 6 hours on Instagram, and as much as I
Yeah.
love Instagram, it does and occasionally we'll get people who like old videos and stuff like that, but it's not the norm. The norm is it's a
Right.
short burst of
Yep.
content that you're, getting and you aren't getting the links to your site. Sometimes in stories I do. I mean, you can put the links in stories and we
Mhm.
probably get 100, 100 hits a day from stories, but we'll get like 26,000 from Pinterest and other sources, obviously Google and things like that when
Yeah.
we're, on a weekly basis from just Google and Pinterest. I mean, I think we have like I don't know, I don't pin every day and I still get like, I don't know, 500,000 people who pin my pins every month. You know what I mean? It's
Amazing. I know, it's so great. So one of the things that's really easy to do that a lot of people haven't done yet is you can connect your Instagram account to your Pinterest, and it will automatically post your Instagram posts to your Pinterest. And that's what Pinterest wants people to do now. In the past, that isn't something that they really would have wanted, but they're really trying to do it. So when you connect your Instagram and Pinterest, it actually puts your Instagram link on your Pinterest profile too. So if you have a lot more followers on Instagram, you can kind of work together and grow them, and you can create a board that just all of your Instagram things can go over. So it will repurpose those things for you automatically. You can go back and edit those. They're going to link to Instagram, which is fine, but you could also edit them to have them go to your website too.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
one really great engagement thing that I'm not sure if a lot of designers are doing, maybe they are, but ManyChat is a really great service that you can do, and you can set it up so when you have something like, say you're a designer and you created a holiday gift guide and you have links that are all affiliate links and you want to, obviously you want to make money from that. So you can create those, you can have the photo, and then you can ask people to just comment like Christmas lights or whatever your phrase is, and you'll send them the link to all of those things. That's a way that a lot of the like influencers use their social media by getting people to comment, and then it sends a direct message to that person. And so it gets a lot more engagement on your post, and it gets direct messages going, and it gives Instagram the message, hey, these people are communicating. Maybe next time they post, I should show it to them too. So
Right.
and it's really helpful if you're creating resources for people. I do it for blog posts. I have ManyChat set up. So I do that for blog content because I still want to share my blog content on Instagram, even though they don't really want me to, but I still want to. So I'll write something about it and then just say, like, if you want the link to the article, just comment, whatever the phrase is below, and then I'll, send them automatically the link to it. And that is a really good engagement builder for the time being. And it connects you with people. And then you can share the things that you're creating, whether it's a blog post on how to style your holiday table, or, like I said, maybe it's links to products,
Yeah,
that you're
and
creating,
for
like I love holiday gift guides so
absolutely.
much. I love
And
looking at them. I love seeing them, and they are
yeah.
so great on Pinterest and Instagram. So if you create something for Instagram, just remember to make something 1000 by 1500 pixels, and then just share it over there too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you guys should also think about the Studio Mind design stuff that you could do too, because Studio Mind design is like it allows designers to have their own shops. It's kind
Mm,
of like it's like a like it know it for design products. So
cool.
that would be a perfect thing for your Studio Mind, product mood boards.
Yes.
Then link up with ManyChat and get people to get those you can design a room and be just say, comment bedroom, and they get the full list of cool
Yeah.
products that you just put together. That would be
It's
so
great, and
great.
it saves time too, because if you're creating great design posts, inevitably people are gonna be like, "Where did you get that lamp? Where's that rug? Where's the" like, everybody wants to know every detail.
Of
That's
course,
just a fact. If you
of
don't
course.
share it, like, I'm sure you guys follow Studio McGee,
Yeah,
Shay posts stuff, and no matter what she's posting, then people are like, "Where are your shoes from? Where's" she ends up sharing all her clothes stuff too, because she knows people are gonna want it, so
right, right. Well, you get in the habit of getting those people people asking, might as well, put these
yeah.
affiliate links out there and get some money
Yeah,
for it. Why not?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really, really great idea. I have used many shots before. I know that they changed the we wanted to do some new follower engagement, and they changed that because of the new algorithm, which
Mhm.
it was really great that they would send out, a message to your followers when they were new and say,
Yeah.
"Here's our website, here's our." But they got rid of that, which was
I didn't actually use that one, but you can do things where you can ask people just to send you a DM too, so there's a couple different ways to do it. So
yeah,
it could
yeah,
be commenting, or you can say, "Send me a message," or respond to a story even.
right, right.
So they're
I
very
love it.
handy. Mhm.
So
And then
yeah,
you know that you're there for your goals, right? When you're setting a goal, you're doing that, you say you're doing that holiday post and you created the mood board with the great products on there. You don't want to go through all that and then just talk about it and have it disappear. You want it to last. And a great thing is it'll come back every year on Pinterest. If you have a holiday decorating board, that's going to trend this year and next year and the next year. I have some pins on some of my holiday boards, and I am not a designer, but, I have holiday pins and Thanksgiving pins and Christmas pins that every year they trend. There's
right,
just
right.
they just become popular, so it really your content does last so much longer there.
Right. And linking it back to your site too, so you're getting those leads, you're getting those,
Mhm,
that's when people are starting to think about those kinds of things, and certainly making sure you have some local stuff in that too, right? So
mhm.
if you're trying to market in New Hampshire, you want people in New Hampshire to find you too. So
Yeah.
putting some of those local words in, and,
Yep, the
maybe having
keywords.
boards that have to do with like the local things that people might be searching on Pinterest that wouldn't have anything to do with your business at all, like Loon Mountain, or, Kangamangas Highway leaf tours, or,
Mhm.
this time of year, maybe North Conway visits, up north on a sleigh
To see
ride or
Santa.
something. Beach Santa, the ice castles, or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And where you are locally too, you can have boards about the things that go on in your state. And then you can change some of the URL stuff back to your website too, so that
Yeah.
have like a little blog about here's some cool stuff that you can do in my state. Here's something places you want to go to restaurants, here's some hotels that are really great in my state. But that will help you bring in those people that are actually from your area too, because
Yep.
they're looking for things to do too.
Yeah, and I was gonna say back to the Pinterest link, when you link your products on there, if something gets marked down on one of your things, it actually will send people a notification. So if they've pinned your pin and one of the prices goes down on one of the things in there, they get an email saying, "This item went on sale."
Oh, that's great. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it still
that.
does that. Yeah. I get like, I had some that had shoes on it, shoes that it was like an outfit or I can't even remember, it's a travel thing, and, every once in a while, you just get an email saying this item that you pinned, the price has gone down, so it lets people know without you even doing anything, if they pinned your content, maybe they were waiting until maybe they couldn't afford it, and maybe they can now because it's marked down,
Right?
so
That's a
they
great
have a lot of
idea.
really good things. Yeah, Pinterest is really made for shopping these days.
It is, it is. I know they changed everything over for the pricing side, and I think that made a lot of people nervous, I think,
Yeah.
and so, especially when designers don't usually share prices of their services because it's
Yeah,
different, it's so different,
yeah.
like, if I design one kitchen and I design another kitchen, it's apples and oranges. I mean, it could be
Mhm.
totally different, so a lot of times they're not sharing pricing, and so that's intimidating, I think,
Yeah.
from the design process. I
It's the
know.
same with social media stuff. Nobody wants to say what they're,
Yeah,
or influencer stuff. People are
right.
influencers. Nobody wants to share what they made for with a brand.
Right, right.
Secret,
It's
secret.
a secret. I don't know why. I'd rather just share it. And
Yeah.
now can you share me a success story from like a small business that you worked with? How they maybe changed their social media? Because I think that's something that a lot of our designers need to know is like it's okay to change it. It's okay to get an expert opinion and do something differently next year than that you're not doing this year.
Right. So I haven't worked with
I know
small
you
businesses.
usually work with a small business
Yeah, but
one
I
guide.
did write my book 100% for small
You
businesses, but I'll
did.
tell
Yeah.
you an example in the book, it's a exercise studio, and it's called Everglow Wellness, which is such a cute name, and they do really great stuff with their social media, and if they didn't do all of those things, they would not have the customer base that they do. They share, like, in their stories, they always are sharing, these are the classes we have today. These are the classes coming up for trial. They're always letting people know, like, daily what they can sign up for. And then they have a link in there where you can just sign up for the class, which is so helpful. So, if the class is open, and then they have special events, and then they post a lot about their social events. So they do a really good job of using posts to share like static things like an event coming up. There's stories they have going, which are more current event things. They don't have to be perfect photos. They can be just more like on the go, kind of what's going on things. You looking at design things like going to look at lamps, going to look at lampshades, putting lamps and lampshades together in different combinations. Looks bad, looks bad, looks bad, looks good. It's just that kind of like, or which one would you pick? This or that things are so great because you could be like, would you have picked this lampshade or this lampshade? Because we all know that there's a lot of different combinations for that. And that
Yes.
there could be
And that
multiple ones
integrates,
that work.
like, that conversation with your audience too, so you
Yeah.
can poll them or you can,
Yep.
let them choose things and then they feel like more a part of what you're doing too. We poll
Yeah.
our audience all the time. We love polls. We love.
There's an account I follow on TikTok, and I'm blanking out on the name of it right now, but they are an estate jewelry. I think it's Wilson's Estate Jewelry, and they share all the time. They'll do like, which one would you pick? And they'll have like 3 vintage Tiffany rings, and then they'll be like number 1, number 2, and that their people are gonna like one of them. Their stuff is all gorgeous, but they do a lot of the same things, but their audience loves it because
Sure.
they are there to see jewelry. So if you were
Right.
there, people are following your accounts for design. They are not gonna be bored with you saying, "I thought about this rug, but then I swapped it to this rug," or, "I talked to this customer and they had a question about X." Like you were talking before about how people might not feel comfortable recording that, but they could still post about it later and say, this is a common question I get. Do I have to change, this for every season, or should I, just whatever your questions are. I'm sure there's like a
Right.
series that you get all the time. Like, can I still do a white kitchen? Are white kitchens out?
Right.
Do a
Right.
poll like all white kitchen, yes or no? Some
Right.
people will say yes, some people will say no. And that's fine because there is really no wrong answer. It's just people's opinions, but it gets them interested and you're asking them. Like you said, like you're asking them like, which one would you choose? Would you choose this one or this one? So, like, creating those opportunities for people to answer and engage is really important. So, for small businesses especially, you're really tight into your niche, and your account is not about you. It's about it can be about you if you're a designer who's comfortable being in front of the camera, but if you're not, then it's fine to be behind the camera too and just have the stuff. I mean, a lot of designers, I don't know what percentage, but, there could be people who wanna be the next Joanna Gaines
Oh, sure.
and, and her do you know her whole start, how she started?
Yeah.
I mean, she just had a little blog,
Yeah.
and HGT found her little blog,
Yeah.
and they were like, "We want to come and interview you to see if you could be a," and she just had, like, a little it was just a little, "This is my house. These are my ki," I mean, she was just talking about gardening and antiquing and just doing things. So, you never know how people are gonna find you. It doesn't have to be a
Niall
big
was on HGTV too.
pardon me?
Shout out to Niall. Said Niall used to be on HGTV too.
I did?
Yes.
Many, many moons ago, yeah.
I was a long time ago. I love it now, and I loved it a
We
long
loved
time
it a
ago.
long time ago too. It was that was the heyday.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to you never know what the thing is. If you're consistently, putting good content on your blog and then sharing pieces of it, it's gonna germinate. The
Yeah.
water what you water grows, right?
Right. Yeah. I want to tell people too about the how did you have the foresight to know how I know you were an evangelist for Canva from day one. I mean, I was watching on Google Plus too, and I jumped on Canva too very, very early, like before anybody, like in the beginning
Mhm.
stages, just like you. How did you have the foresight to know that they were gonna do what they did?
Well, I cannot use Photoshop, and I've tried to use Photoshop, and it's hard, and I've taken classes, but Canva was easier, and I liked it better, and I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do because 'cause we're talking very early, sorry to say, glitchy Canva.
Yeah, glitchy.
Sometimes it would go down, but, I know that they would be this big? No, but I knew that I liked them a lot, and, they contacted I was using them to create all Guy stuff, and they contacted Guy and said, "Hey, we'd love to meet with you," and he was like, "Who are these people? What do they do? Do I wanna meet with them?" I was like, "We wanna meet with them because sometimes he gets a lot of people that pitch stuff to him,
Yeah.
and, sometimes I'm like, "No, that's not an interesting thing," but Canva, I was like, "Yes, we are very interested in Canva," and so we met with them, and the people behind it are the same people that found all 3 of the founders are still there, and Zach Kitschke, who is he's the CMO now, he was head of communications then. They hired us to work with them, and I actually did the launch to the United States for Canva. So and that was to Google Plus, which is what so the
Right.
guy and I that
Mhm.
was, a lot of our initiative was Google and Google Plus and getting people to use it. So it was really I knew that I liked it, so if I like something, I feel like other people are gonna like it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of the same with design, if you create something, there may be different opinions about that because at the time, obviously, a lot of graphic designers were mad that people could do things themselves, but, you know, it Photoshop hasn't gone anywhere. There's still a lot of room for professional designers for sure, because you could create a lot more things on Canva, but that doesn't mean you can create everything that you need for a
Right.
professional business.
And
You
it's
still need
crazy that
professional
Adobe
logos.
changed too, because they have Adobe Express now, which is very,
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of similar to like copy of Canva. And I've happened to use Adobe Express more than Canva now because it's phone native, which
Yeah.
I love doing everything on my phone.
Yeah, yeah. I did an it was Adobe Spark, but I did their Spark Punch too.
Yes, I did Spark. I was part of Spark too. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I like oh, they just changed it and it's a little wonkier that with the AI stuff than it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think it's like if you're looking for like quick graphics, Adobe and you're just on your phone, Adobe Express is pretty great comparatively to Canva because you can do it on your phone easier. Their Canva app, and because I think when you build on one or the other, it just
I
doesn't
I don't
translate
u I use
well.
Canva on desktop almost
Desktop,
exclusively. I don't
yeah,
use it as much on my phone.
yeah, yeah. But that's so interesting. I love that you were so integral in all of those worlds, and now you're using it to help small business owners. I mean,
Mhm.
because you were right there with the founders and you know how it's going to work, and
They
your
were a
book
sma
is
they
going to
were a
help,
small business. Actually, I could use them as my small business lord.
right? And they were a small business.
They were. I was like employee 24.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they
And
have like 2,000.
and you're
So
like, "My little baby Canva."
I know. I was like, "Please, somebody use this."
Yes.
But, the biggest thing that with Canva being a little teeny company, and then I think I have to run soon too, by the
Sure,
way.
yes.
Sorry. Canva, the biggest thing that they had to do is build a community, and I think that's really valid for all small business owners. You wanna try to build a community of people who really love what you're doing and who are interested in what you're talking about, and that's really what my goal was with Canva at that point, was to try to get people to try them, to talk about it, and share what they were doing, and really just like, get people involved in it, and that was we did a hashtag, it was I did the Canva Love hashtag, which was what I created, like, in 2014 or something, and they're still using it today, and that's where people can share what they like. So if you have people in your community, you could come up with a hashtag where people can share. You can have a little contest and talk about, like, style your Christmas tree, and people could share photos of it using the hashtag, but that's kind of how I used it,
Right.
to get people involved and to share.
Now, I'm gonna make sure that all of you have a link to Peg's book because you're going to want that because it is geared to you and your small business, and there are gonna be a lot of examples on what to do. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. We really appreciate it. Your expert advice is going to help a lot of interior designers. I just know it.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. All right. Well, have a wonderful night.
You too.